All the second stage tanks now pressurized. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Like a furry torpedo to the jugular. This is Honey Badger Radio. Radio with Buddy.
Hello and welcome to HBR Talk 394. I won't tell you why that number is significant and weird, but because you'll never ever guess. Anyway, ladies, would you please make up your minds? Is our title today. I'm your host, Hannah Wallen, here with Nonsense Annihilator, Lauren Brooks, and the personification of perceptivity, Mike Stevenson. We may or may not
Bonjour!
Bonjour! We may or may not have Richard the Lionhearted with us. I haven't been able to get into contact with him today, so I don't know. But we do have the Doge in charge working in the background to make things happen. And hopefully everything goes well tonight, because I got zero prep time this week before the show. I mean, I knew last week what I was going to do. I just didn't get to do a show last week. So before we get into it, though, we got to do what we got to do. As always, Honey Badger Radio dishes out a smorgasbord of thought-provoking discussions, and as experiences both recent and long past have demonstrated, the provoked thoughts are fighting back. They've made it clear that for people like us, relying on third-party payment platforms like Patreon to fund our work is treading on thin ice, or building our house in the path of a rapidly growing wildfire. In light of this, we strongly encourage our supporters to switch at least their support for us to feedthebadger.com, the most stable way to help us out. And if you want to tip us directly, instead of relying on any social media platforms tip jar, the link for that is feedthebadger.com/justthetip. As always, this same risk applies to our social media platforms, which is why you should further provoke the thought police by tracking our thought-provoking discussions on honeybadgerbrigade.com, where you can find your way to all of our content, as well as a link to feedthebadger.com in the drop-down menu at the top of the page. And there we go. So, in the last few weeks, we have been sort of exploring the female journalism's response, the female journalistic response, and I say that loosely, journalistic, to incels, right, and to documentaries about incels and so on. And we looked, I think, the last show at a male journalist's response. And especially when he found out that incels are not all that he thought they were. Now we're going to look at something that's not quite completely different. It's just a different way of blaming men. And I kind of wanted to contrast this with that, because in our previous shows, we're looking at discussion over and over again that blames men for wanting to be with women and not being up to par with looks, or not being up to par with money. But women aren't going to choose them, and therefore they should just, apparently, according to these journalists, crawl in a hole and die. That's it. They don't want them around. And yet, what do we have but this article saying immature men are to blame for Britain's, quote, missing babies, report warns, because they delay responsibilities until later in life. And what is this about? It's not about kidnapped children. It's not like the missing children that ICE found in the United States, or who had been lost by the Biden administration in the United States. These children haven't been born. So the missing babies report, or the missing babies that the report warns about, are not missing because women chose not to give birth. No, they are missing.
Or women chose to kill them. Heaven forfend all the fucking babies that women killed. No, it's men's fault
want to remind everybody, 3 in 10
they didn't
worldwide.
turn up to fertilize them in the first place.
Yeah, that's it. Because men are not conceiving babies with women. It has nothing to do with the 3 in 10 babies that are aborted worldwide. It's the men's, guys. It's all your fault. So here we go. And I do apologize for being so close to the edge. I usually like to leave a little margin, but the way that this page
apologize for nothing, Hannah,
doesn't allow it. So I absolutely, whatever this is, I hate it. Daily Mail. Fuck you, Daily Mail, for not allowing me to create margins when I want there to be margins. So there. Just saying. Britain's missing babies can be blamed on immature men who are delaying responsibilities until later in life, according to a report. Because it's very important that we repeat the headline as the first line of the article. That has to happen. Research from the Center for Social Justice, so it's very reliable, guys. Think tank predicts around 600,000 young women may miss out on motherhood, partly because men don't feel ready for children until they get older. So essentially, it's not that men are just refusing to ever have children. They are not saying they're going to be childless. They're not going to say they're going to be child free. They're not getting vasectomies. They're just saying, well, let's wait a little while, just a little while. And they're predicting 600,000 young women will just never become mothers ever because of this. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Yeah.
Well, what men and women are different. I'm very sorry if this is going to get me arrested already saying, but men and women are different in many ways, including the things they are attracted to. Women are attracted to power and status. Men are attracted to youthfulness and virility. Now, not all, blah blah, hashtag not all, and so on and so forth. But as long as you're not going to change that, you're gonna have to notice that that men tend to be attracted to women who can gestate their babies, and there is a small window of opportunity in which women can find themselves in that niche, and it is early on in their development. Whereas women are attracted to men kind of regardless of their age, who can provide them with resources and so on, and that's not so much young men and more so much old men, and that's what's difficult to get across to so many people. And maybe this is some kind of aspect of nature that we have to just accept, and in the meantime maybe it's an aspect of nature that we can compare with what we're listening to now in this article. So if anyone is guilty of waiting too long, it would be women, wouldn't it? I mean,
Yep, you would think. And they're giving us longer and longer, the medical community. Like, when I had my son, I decided that I really wanted to get my tubes tied. Figured, income wise, my family was not doing well, and it would be a sin against the kids, basically, for lack of a better term coming to mind, to bring another one into the world and divide the resources that we're spending on our kids by one more. And everybody kept, and I kept saying, I'm 27 years old now. I don't really think that getting pregnant again is a good idea. This childbirth was incredibly hard. The pregnancy went really well, but the childbirth was like a nightmare. And I don't want to do that again, especially not given that it created a risk to both my life and that of the baby. And everybody kept saying, "Oh, you can have a baby up to the age of 35 safely. It's in fact you can be safe in the next 5 years too if you're very careful while you're pregnant." And eventually, I finally just ran up against a wall of, my mom was very concerned that I'd regret it. And the doctor was like, "I'm not doing this until you can tell me when I haven't given you the good drugs so that I can cut you open." Because I said to him, I've been talking about getting my tubes tied. If you've got me cut open, why don't you do the tie the tubes too?" And he wouldn't do it because I was drugged. Even though I wanted that done and had discussed it with the medical firm that he came from uh, prior to that, like prior to to going into labor. They're very hesitant to do that, and then at the time, it should have been done. But what I learned at that time was, when you start talking about um, not having any of the good eggs left, or having your body not be in a good condition to have the baby and stuff like that. The first thing people start doing is giving you reasons why actually up to the age of 45 now, it's pretty safe to have a baby, and actually this and actually that. And if you want to really stand your ground on that, you kind of have to be able to say, actually, my butt, this is the last baby I'm having. Give me the surgery or I'm going to sue. Because if you can't be that firm, you don't get it done. And then you spend quite a bit on birth control if you're really careful, because one type alone isn't enough, right? To be really sure that you're not going to conceive another child. And so, over the years, it was a huge waste. We probably spent more money on birth control than it would have cost, especially when the pill wasn't really an option. It's not healthy for most people, but if you have a predisposition to strokes, it's really not healthy. So it wasn't an option. But as soon as you're in that situation, it becomes a rather expensive lifestyle to spend your whole life with someone that you're going to regularly have sex with. And if you don't want to have a baby every time you have sex. So yeah, it's people are not careful with the advice that they give women about this. And that includes, oh yeah, you can still have babies, after you're 35 years old, and not worry about what's going to happen to them. Even when you're 40, what happens when you're 45 and you have a baby? Then you're 63 when your kid graduates high school, 62 or 63 years old, depending on when you put them in school. And maybe they're fully on their feet by the time you're 70, right? Maybe they've got the house and family by the time you're 70. And maybe they'll be there for you by the time you need care in your old age. But it's a lot less likely than it would be if you had that kid in your 20s. And I think a lot of women don't think about that. And I think a lot of men don't either. But there's other considerations too, right? And I've said this a lot. Love your kids before you have them. Love your kids before you conceive them, or don't have kids. Care enough to be ready to support a child. That's vital. And people used to do that. It used to be that both the man and the woman going into a marriage would bring in their part of a nest egg that they would use to get their first home and get their family off the ground. And a lot of it in Western culture was the guy bringing in his earning capacity. But a lot of what the women brought in were their dowry, right? They'd come in with an actual amount. Historically, that came from her parents, right? From the father. But a woman could still do that today without relying on her father. Because a girl today can get a job at the age of 16, right? Just like a boy can. Work part-time till she graduates, work full-time for a few years before she gets serious enough with anybody to get married, and just sock as much of that away as possible into savings accounts or certificates of deposit or things that pay higher returns, and have an investment built up that she brings into the marriage. And women that had to do that in order to get a man to want to be with them would probably be more dedicated to their marriage. And men might be more likely to feel comfortable creating a helpless person who's going to rely entirely on them for support and require quite a bit of resources, including the expense of the birth itself, which is not cheap. But people don't like to think like that. And for what I just said, the idea that women might be more loyal to their husbands if they invested in them on the way into the marriage, um, then, I'm a misogynist, right? I might get accused of misogyny. So Richard says he's in the guest room. I don't know what that being in the guest room means. So Brian can figure that out. But in the meantime, let's see.
In the meantime,
where was I?
I'm. It's important that children have a range of experience when it comes to adults.
Yeah.
They should have they should have adults in their lives who will fawn over their every experience. They'll go, "Oh, you're so cute. You're so amazing. Everything you do is so great." But they should also have adults in their lives who are difficult to please. Adults in their lives who will be like, "You call that a good drawing? Fuck you. You need a better drawing." I'm exaggerating, but this is my experience in being Uncle Mike, right? I don't have my own children, but I do have 3 nephews at this point, and I've found myself like dropping into this niche because every other adult in these kids' lives is like, "Oh, you're so great. You're so good."
Awesome. Thanks.
And
That was Brian
and
speaking to us in the background that you guys can't hear.
yeah, you didn't hear that, but I'm like, I'll never be able to be a father's influence on a child's life, but I can be Uncle Mike, and what I can do as Uncle Mike is be this stoic, like miserable bastard who's like, "Oh, you did that? Okay, whatever." And then these kids will be like, "Oh, okay. There's this adult who's not going to fawn over my every action. I guess I need to work harder to please this adult." And that's what I've learned. And I think that's an important experience in a child's life. Like not everyone is just going to go, "Oh, you're so great. You're so brilliant in everything you do." Because that's what raises a spoiled child. Like every child needs someone in their life who's going to go, "Huh, whatever." Because then they'll have to work hard
True.
to please that person. And every child needs that person in their lives. It doesn't need to be their mother or their father. By all means, the mother and the father should do everything they can to keep their child appeased. But as long as they have that one racist uncle in their lives,
Though,
gonna,
actually, it's often the dad that like he's not going, huh, but that's good, but I know you can do better because I know you, and I'm
exactly.
gonna
And
demand better from you.
I do that implicitly. I don't even say that. I'm just like, huh. and that's
Yep.
and that's all they need. Just huh, whatever.
So, according to this report, in a report called Baby Bust, the organization says there's a range of reasons for failing birth rates, including the cost of childcare. Right, birth rates are down because families don't want to spend money so that mommy doesn't have to be home. Now, who decides that mommy's not going to be home? Daddy isn't kicking her out, right? Get your fat ass out there and get a job. Maybe with a lot of families, there's a situation where if both of them aren't working, they can't pay the rent. But most of the time when women are working, it's because they either have to like that or they choose to. They're not doing it because somebody is shaming them into it. They're not doing it because uh, the husband is mean and kicking them out. They're not doing it because he's immature. They're doing it because they're living in the situation that feminism created. Either they don't have a choice because of economics, or they feel strongly compelled. Most women who are working, you know, that those are their one of their two reasons. I had a little of both. I'm a bit of a workaholic. I even sometimes go to work as a volunteer, but because of some need that I've identified that I can see that nobody else is in a position to do anything about it at the moment. Um, but in any case, that's not men's fault right there. The cost of childcare. Men don't run the childcare system. They are not the bulk of childcare workers. They're usually not the ones deciding that the mother has to work and the child has to go into childcare. And they often don't really get a say at all. So that's women's fault. So the next one is wanting to move into a larger house, prioritizing a career or not finding the right partner, right? Wanting to move into a larger house. So you have a bedroom for the kid maybe? Prioritizing a career. When women do that, once again, it isn't men pushing them into that, is it? Right? Who tells women that they need to be CEOs of everything? Who says there's not enough women in the types of careers that get phone calls in the middle of the night to go into work, like medicine? Um, isn't men, right? It's not the patriarchy, certainly not the church. So, what entity is pushing women into that situation where they can't have the work life balance that it takes to be ready for a family. So they're gonna put off having a kid because they want to prioritize that career and not finding the right partner. Well, when you're all competing for what 20% or less of the men, a large number of you are not going to find the right partner. So the whole first paragraph is about how it's women's fault that women are not getting pregnant. That at least that women that want to get pregnant are not getting pregnant. Am I wrong here? You would think. Yeah. Yeah. It's crud. Um, they can't hear Lauren. Just silence. Okay, so I don't even know if I can summarize that as well as Lauren said it, but because there was quite a bit there. Um, but I think probably the most important gist of it is the idea for women waiting, putting career first and delaying for 10 years. Really, it takes away quite a bit of their chances, and it's blaming it on somebody else is ludicrous at that point. You get to um, you don't get to dick around for 10 years, going out to the club and having a good time and partying and prioritizing fun and career and all that, and then complain because you can't get a guy to hurry up and make a baby with you. Like, it's not all on your time. And I think a lot of women, I think she's right. A lot of women don't understand that. I hope I did a decent job of paraphrasing. I think that's, you got like 2% of it, but Lauren says yes. So I wonder why Lauren's sound is not coming through, but we'll figure it out. We will get it figured out one way or another. In the meantime, I have a super chow. Um, Meredith G gave us $5 and said HBR Talk 394. Honey for the Badgers. I'll listen as long as I can, but the pollen apocalypse, pollen apocalypse really has hit the Carolinas, and all I want to do is sleep it off. I completely understand that. We've had a lot of wind in the Miami Valley here in the last month. On and off, it's gotten warm and cold and warm and cold. And it got warm again recently. And so it's blown mold spores and pollen all over the place. And I'm on double the usual uh, allergy medicine. I have a breakthrough pill that I take that is, it's not the same one. So I'm a little loopy and dry from it. It's not like being high on something. It's just like a little dehydrated, and it screws with me. So I know what you mean. I could go to sleep right now. um, but yeah, there is quite an issue of girls and women thinking that they can wait till the last minute and then ask everybody else to hurry up, including whatever guy they're with. We're gonna do this right now, and you don't have time to think about it. Um, that's really unfair to the guy. But the article goes on, and this is where I see the comparison to to incels. The articles about incels, right? We just went over. We spent 3 weeks going over how horrible it is that these incels want want to have relationships, maybe want to get married and have kids. How dare they? And how dare they be sad that this is not happening for them? And yet, in this article, it says it also attributes some of the drop, obviously in the birth rate, to a delay in the maturation rates of young men. In previous generations, children left school in their early to mid teens and went into the workplace, the report reads. For boys, this meant learning responsibility, earning money, and being mentored by adult men. boys matured and in doing so became marriageable. In 21st century Britain, adolescence now extends into the early 20s. In the past, a 24-year-old man, right? So think 24 years, do the math here. A 24-year-old man would have been likely to be married, have a child, and have been working for the best part of a decade. Now, I hope that the best part of a decade only refers to the last thing, but it may be referring to the entire sentence. And in English, it's quite possible for that last phrase, for the best part of a decade. So since he was 14, it's quite possible they mean that they think that a guy should become a father as a teenager, should be married and have a child and be working from their teenage years on, which is insane. But even if they're just saying work, they're still talking about 15 years old, getting a job and being ready to have a child at the age of 24, but only for men, right? So we go back to this beginning here, prioritizing a career, right? Women wait until they're in their late 20s. I did. And prioritizing a career is seen as just a delay. But if a guy does the same thing and isn't ready to impregnate somebody at the age of 24, he's bad. Now the average age of leaving home for a young man sits at 25, 3 years older than for young women. This would be the total fertility rate, which went way up apparently in the 1960s. But now since about 2012, it just has tanked. And this is, of course, in the UK. The fertility rate in the UK is 1.4 children per couple, I guess. The report adds that the system now expects and even encourages young people to not take up wider responsibilities, delay their rites of passage into adulthood, and build up vast student debt. So this doesn't really, again, men aren't the reason for that. Right? It's not men who are coddling children. How often are children raised in households without any father at all? And yet they're not expected to take up wider responsibilities. They're delaying their rites of passage into adulthood. They're not getting their first car or driving, getting their driver's license. They're not getting their first job. They're not taking any responsibility around the home and things like that. But is that because masculinity, or is that because mom's at work and doesn't push them to grow up?
Men want women, and there has been no replacement for women in men's lives, because what, believe it or not, is a human being. A human being who can act as someone who can bear their children and, dare I say, look after them and their children. But is there a replacement for what women want in their lives? Yes, there is. It's called the government. This is what's so difficult to get across to the general public. What women want is a provider, a protector and a provider. And yes, that has been replaced by the government. the government has indeed provided everything women want in terms of a protector and a provider. And all it has to do is steal all of men's labor and all the spoils of their labor and give it to those women. So yeah, as nightmarish as all this feels, it does kind of make sense. It's remarkably easy to give women a replacement for what they once depended on in terms of the men in their lives. Because love means different things to different people. And this is why we need to differentiate what we mean by love. The Greeks had many different words for love. They had eros and agape and philia and storge. And many of these things have been replaced as far as women are concerned. Eros has been replaced by OnlyFans. And philia has been replaced by other women. And agape has been replaced by, well, dare I say, feminism, because agape was what God was always about. Agape is this spiritual love, and yeah, women have lost track of this spiritual love. They no longer tie it to God. They tie it to feminism, because feminism is their God. And what about storge? Well, they've never been able to replace storge, so they just abandoned storge. You'll notice nobody even has a translation of storge, because it's familiarity. It's what you might call the oikos. And yes, I say that because that's a Greek word, just like storge is the Greek word. And yeah, every possible avenue of love that women can experience has been replaced by something other than men. Meanwhile, men have are still pining over women, and yes, maybe they should be. And in the same way, maybe women should be pining over men for love. I mean, this is how it has worked for fucking thousands of years, millions of years. Men should be pining over women, and women should be pining over men. And yeah, there's all kinds of ways that can be hijacked. But yeah, women's love for men has been hijacked across all avenues, to the point where they don't feel like they need men anymore. And men's love for women has, has been hijacked a little bit, but not quite as much. And that's why they, even, men still pine after women. But they've been filling in that void with pornography and with with all these avenues of that give them a two-dimensional facsimile of women, and that's that's no good either. But to focus on the problems men have and how their pining for women has been replaced with two-dimensional pornography is nothing compared with women, and how their pining for men has been replaced with everything across all dimensions, not just pornography. I mean, they also have their pining for really quite sick pornography, up to and including all the dirty books they like. But women's pining for men has been replaced with the government, because women's pining for men, it involves a big daddy, not just a Chad who fucks them just right, but an all-powerful Chad that gives them all the power and money that they could ever hope for, and that's what they get from the government. Women get things from the government that men will never get, because that's what the government is. It's a replacement for men. In ways, it never has been a replacement for women. One day it might be, and we will see what happens if the government ever facilitates artificial wombs. It's unlikely to happen because other things came first. But if it ever comes about that this all-powerful, all-pervasive, whatever you can call it, this ability to override human nature, if it ever gives men what they ever wanted from women, shit's gonna change a shit of a load. And unfortunately, it's unlikely to, because it got around to giving what women want from men long before that has ever happened and could possibly ever happen. And that's why we found ourselves in this nightmarish state of affairs. This is why those of us, I don't want to indulge in identitarian politics, but those of us who think of things in libertarian thinkings can, I mean, when you give women liberty, they will take whatever they can get from authority. And that's
the dumbest thing. They will make the stupidest of choices.
Yes. And I'm still trying to get this across without being without expressing things in terms that don't contradict each other. But yeah, when you give women liberty, they will adhere to authority. Do you see what I mean? Because women crave authority, because throughout history, and I mean throughout all the way back to Stone Age history, women crave authority from their men, and men crave liberty from their women. Now that's I've opened up a can of worms there. But
Well, what it
yeah,
is it's safety net addiction. Women crave authority because authority looks like a safety net. You don't think as much about what you're losing and giving up as you think about what you're getting out of it. What freedom from accountability you're getting out of it.
Yeah, and the problem with government is government provides authority long before it provides liberty. I mean, that's what government is.
Or
right?
safety, for that matter.
One can conceive of a government that assures liberty. I mean, this is what libertarians have been dreaming about for a long time. A government that ensures liberty and prevents authority. But over the last 1,000 years, if not the last few thousand years, the only thing governments have been able to provide has been authority. And so obviously thereby it has given women what they fundamentally desire, and has never been able to give men what they fundamentally desire. But because it had to concede to giving men what they desire, it has been libertarian enough to allow men to provide the best possible life that could be provided to men and women, and that's why our quality of life has improved over the last 1,000, if not 2,000, if not 3,000 years. And I don't know. I don't know where I take it from there, because when you give men the freedom to do what men do, they improve the lives of everyone around them, until the point where they get so rich and so decadent that they can even go, "Hey, women, what do you want?" And then the women go, "Well, what we want is authority, the authority to give us what we want." And that's not like developing technological advances. What we want is equality. We want to treat every adult like we treat every child. We want everyone to be equal. We want to say, "No, don't you do that. This other child wants that. And don't you child do that. This other child wants that. Everyone should be equal." All right.
Well, and they want 1,000 restrictions on anyone they think is more equal, right?
Yeah,
Anyone
women,
who's getting more benefits from life. And it doesn't
women,
even matter if they're working for them or not.
yeah, women understand how to look after children, and it's to treat all the children as equal.
No,
And
you cannot do that. Women
well, no,
women who understand how to take care of children know that you have to treat children as individuals, and you have to recognize and teach the children to recognize that they as individuals have some needs that will be unique to them, and some strengths and weaknesses that will be unique to them. And often their weaknesses and their needs are very strongly related. When you have women who, everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets treated the same way, both the bully and the victim get in trouble for fighting and stuff like that, they create an environment in which children cannot learn from their experiences. If everybody gets a trophy, then you don't need to learn from your mistakes, because you win even if you lose.
well, that's
And,
what.
if both the bully and the victim get in trouble for fighting, then you don't need to learn diplomacy, because nothing you do is going to protect you from consequences of being attacked. And you don't need to learn diplomacy as a bully, because you can get what you want. All you have to do is be able to take a little bit of punishment, and you can get the other guy punished too. So you get to bully him twice, right? So women, they're just like men. There are women who are smart and who understand their job, knowing what they're doing, and they work very hard to do it well and do it right. And then there are dipshits. There are women who are dipshits, who don't understand how to do their job. They don't understand their role, and they don't care about it. They just care about not getting a headache from it, or about not having to work too hard at it, or not having to feel bad about being the heavy in a moment of difficulty, things like that. And so they do things like everybody gets a trophy, and the bully and the victim both get in the same amount of trouble for getting into a fight, um, instead of sorting things out and dealing with the situations as they are. This team played better, they get the trophy. This other team is learning sportsmanship, and they can be glad they enjoyed playing the game. They know where their weak spots are now, and they can practice more. right? But it's usually a very small handful of women who understand that stuff. I had one of them as a gym teacher in early elementary school, and then I had another one of them as a gym teacher in later elementary school. And those women, those were a huge influence on my life. And I think a lot of girls don't grow up with that type of influence, and then they grow up to be the everybody gets a trophy mom. I think that's why it was really Gen X that kind of invented that everyone gets a trophy thing. And it wasn't the whole generation, obviously, because there's a lot of us that bitch about that every chance we get. Because we played on losing teams and learned things from it. It was very important to us to have those losses and to have those mistakes, to fall down and skin our knees and have somebody say, now come on, it's not so bad. Get back up and get on that bicycle, or yes, I understand that that kid kicked your butt. So, now it's not happening. Let's go home and do something that's more fun, right? Stay
Well,
away from that kid. But not, oh, you poor baby, I'm gonna go buy you an ice cream and we're gonna make sure that this person gets in trouble and blah. We used to be able to handle that stuff with a little bit of toughness. Kids don't learn that anymore. They don't learn that not everything is about their feelings. Those are the
well,
stupid women that teach them that everything is about their feelings.
in defense of mothers, and I feel like I'm about to quote C.S. Lewis, but I can't remember in exactly what way. But mothers of children of a certain age are far more critical of their own children than they are of other families' children. Like when they meet their cousins and their families, or friends of the family and their children. Um, Mothers are very often critical of their own children in ways they would never be of other families' children, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
because it's your job as a mother to
indeed,
raise your children. It's not your job to raise the neighborhood's children. That's their parents' job. So
indeed,
if
and that
they're
and
gonna
that
get criticism, it's
and,
their parents' job to do it.
and that's when the duty of mothers and fathers kind of starts to overlap, right? Because fathers will sort of they they have this discipline for their own children kind of the whole time, but um it's never differentiated between one family and another. Like fathers will be like, well, like I was talking about the what the racist uncle is supposed to do.
Yeah.
They're always supposed to be like, no, whatever, right? That's fine, but you can do better, right? And I think that's what the father is supposed to do as well. And they're supposed to do that the whole time. They're supposed to like find a happy medium, a happy boundary between the whole thing. But but women have this different thing. Like when your child is fucking 2 years old, you're supposed to just be like, oh, no, everything you do is awesome. Yeah, by all means, but once they get to an age like approaching puberty, the mothers get sick of their children. I don't want to say sick, but they at that point, that is the point where they start being
Just
very
start butting
critical of
heads
their
with
own
mom.
of their own children. But
Yeah.
at the same time, they're very uncritical of other people's children. Many of you will have noticed this. I certainly did. That when you reach a certain age, you notice um, your mother absolutely fucking loves every child except yourself. Like, and they'll be very critical of you, but they'll still they'll still treat every action of every child other than the.
Uh-oh. I don't know if that's at my end or at your end. Is Mike going in and out for the listening audience, or is it okay? It is okay. That sucks. Okay. Oh well, there's some bad weather coming in here, and it is somewhat messing with my connection, but it's not doing it with my laptop. I'm just seeing little alerts on my phone. But it's interesting. I know different women behave differently, and I keep seeing little signs and clues just about every time we talk about women that my mom was different. And I think my brother and I were outside of our dad. My brother and I were her life, right? And my parents had this amazing. Their romance should have been a movie. Um, people would have loved it, but in any case, I never experienced what Mike was talking about. Mom didn't. She didn't. Oh, there. I can hear you again now, Mike. I couldn't. We couldn't hear you for the last few minutes. Oop, now I can't hear you again. But she was also tougher on us than other kids. But it was mainly because we were hers. Yep, I keep starting to hear Mike, and then he disappears. For crying out loud. Well, you gotta remember, Mangaka 92, Wallen is my married name. So it would be my maiden name and my mother's maiden name would be the good names to use for that movie. But I'm not gonna tell you what those are. Because that's other people's privacy. But in any case, while we're waiting for Mike to be able to come back in, I'm going to get us back on track here because we were talking essentially about um, this different aspect of blaming men, right? Last week, and not last week, but 2 weeks ago, we were seeing men getting blamed for being lonely, men getting blamed for being unwanted, men getting blamed for being sad about being lonely and unwanted, and men getting blamed for women being afraid of men who are lonely and unwanted. And this week we are talking about men getting blamed for women delaying conception of their first child. Overall, the think tank says around 3 million women, and again, this is where I looked at that other thing and saw, they're encouraging teenage pregnancy. Women aged 16 to 45 are projected not to have children compared with only 2.4 million in their grandparents' generation. It's like they're skirting the edge. They're not coming out and overtly saying we're trying to encourage teenage pregnancy. But they've got one toe over the line, right? Twice now. They've got one toe over the line. They're like, well, in the past, these teenagers would have been getting pregnant, but today they're not. To me, that sounds like progress. Teenagers not getting pregnant until they are adult is a good thing. And notice they did say to 45, not 35, when they used to discourage women from getting pregnant after the age of 35 because you have more birth injuries and yeah, more geriatric pregnancy. You have more mommy injuries, but you have more more birth injuries to the baby after 35 if you try to carry a baby to term, conceive and try to carry a baby to term. And some birth injuries really suck for the kid, right? Some birth injuries are painful and debilitating and can make it so that the child's entire life is going to be very difficult and not very long. So, if you want to conceive a child, you shouldn't put it off till older. You should do it when you're younger so that that child has the optimum chance of being born healthy, but not necessarily at the age of 16, because you do want to be fully grown and able to support and raise your children. It says these women have been labeled the missing mothers at a time when Britain's birth rate falls to the lowest on record. Now, there again, right? What percentage of these women aged 16 to 45 are competing for the same what is it now? I know it was 20% when there was that dating site that did the study, but what is the actual number now? Any of the three of you guys happen to have that? Everybody's going for Chad, right? And Chad doesn't want to be with the bottom 50% of women. He doesn't want to be with the bottom 80% of women. If he's in the top percentage of men, he's one of those guys who is smart enough and wise enough to to know his worth and expect, to be with somebody of equal worth. Maybe those 3 million women aged 16 to 45 are not having kids because they are being unrealistic about who might partner with them to have babies. Seems like it would make sense. Figures from the Office for National Statistics show that in 2024 the fertility rate stood at 1.41 children per woman. This is well below the quote replacement rate because that means she's replacing one of the two people it takes to make a baby. The replacement rate is 2.1 needed to maintain current population levels without migration. So here's the rub with this article. The question is, are they writing this article to encourage uh, birth, to encourage women to have babies, to encourage couples to have babies, right? Are they writing this article to whine and blame men? Or is this little bit buried in here? Are they writing this article to justify mass migration? Right? Are they? This has been done in the United States too. People keep saying, "Oh, our birth rate's too low. Our birth rate's too low. We have to have mass migration because who's going to take care of the people in the nursing homes?" Well, folks, I hate to tell you this, but the crisis that they're talking about coming in the next 10 years, it's here now. It is damn near impossible to hire at that level of healthcare. You can find doctors, you can find nurses, um, you can find nurse practitioners that didn't want to study to be doctors, but wanted to be able to do most of what doctors do. You can find all kinds of women who want to work in HR. You can find administrators who want to run some department or another. Um, but finding people to do the job of feeding people who can't feed themselves anymore because they've had some sort of accident, a stroke, they've got Parkinson's and the shaking is too bad, whatever reason. Finding those women, and it's almost always women because the job can't pay enough to attract very many men, right? Finding women who are willing to be there when your grandparents are incontinent and somebody has to help them every time that happens. Those women are becoming more and more rare, and the level of intellectual capability with regard to accountability and taking pride in one's job specifically, not necessarily math, science, and all that, but that specific area of the intellect where you take satisfaction in doing a job well and you care about the outcomes that the people you're working for experience as a result of your work, right? That's missing in the quality of women that you get for that job, especially as you get to the younger generations. They just don't have it. So that crisis happened 10 years ago, and we are now at the point where it's exploding. And if your parents end up in a nursing home or your grandparents end up in a nursing home, the level of care they will get in what used to be considered the nice nursing home in your community is what they would have gotten 20 or 30 years ago at the county home or at that one nursing home that somebody called the ombudsman for the elderly on, and it got taken over by the state for 6 months and everybody got fired and some people went to jail, right? That's the nice nursing home now. That's the quality of the nice nursing home. Unless you end up spending shitloads of money on a real hoity-toity, looks like a golf club until you get up to the buildings, and then it looks like a resort nursing home. You're screwed. Like, you're going to get basic warehousing type care in your old age right now, today, if you go to a nursing home. If you're injured and you have to recover in a nursing home, that's what it is. Like, that crisis isn't tomorrow. And that's with the birth rate having been low for a few years. It's going to be really scary in about 10. It's going to be really hard choices in about 10 years. And I won't work in a nursing home ever again. I did when I was young, and I ran into that attitude already. That was in the 90s, the 1990s. My last year ever working in a nursing home was 1996. And I was already running into that. And it wasn't, the majority at that point, but it was still there, right? I just now I'm appalled. I've been in a nursing home recently that was supposed to be a nice nursing home, and I can't tell you guys how horrifying it was. I just can't. So yeah, we are not in a upcoming crisis. We are in a crisis. And a huge amount of that crisis is lack of accountability among young women.
Can confirm. Am I audible?
You are.
Yay.
Yeah, it goes on. Meanwhile, the average age of first-time mothers is at an all-time high. Now, it depends on what that number is, whether this is good or bad. If it used to be that the average age was close enough to the age of majority as to make a significant number underage, and now it's not, that's a good thing. But if it used to be that the average age was in the middle of the first 10 years after the age of majority, and now it's later, that's not a good thing. But it says 9 out of 10 young women hope to have children. The report says, yet under current fertility conditions, the total childless rate in the UK is predicted to be as high as 30%. So, and instead of 9 out of 10, that would be 7 out of 10 women having children on average. Unplanned childlessness is a major cause of grief and sadness for many. So we've gone from worrying about unplanned motherhood to unplanned childlessness. That's an interesting one. And I don't know if... Okay, it's not the end.
It's never the end.
Yeah. Of course. No, there's quite a bit more here. The report recommends reducing the school leaving age and providing more in-work training and apprenticeships in a bid to address the issue. This is kind of what the men's rights movement has been suggesting for what, 30, 40 years? Maybe longer. That more students should be in job training when they would be in high school instead of in high school. And instead of taking, 14th century French poetry in college when they're not going in to be a professor or write a book on it or anything like that, maybe they should learn welding or, some other trade, some other skill, HVAC, something like that. Oh, God. Yeah. Seniors in high school can take anatomy and physiology, the beginnings of anatomy and physiology, because they used to teach that at my high school. It's a hard class, but you can do it. Freshmen can start learning Latin, right? Freshmen can start learning what they need to do medical billing. Freshmen can start learning the basics of automotive technology. Freshmen in high school. In fact, well, depending on the type of vehicle you're going to repair, you can understand aspects of that in elementary school. You can learn how to change the brakes on a motor vehicle in elementary school. And I know this for a fact because I'm married to somebody who did. He started learning car repair from his dad when he was 7. So,
Or learn like plumbing or electrics.
Yep.
Do some of the stuff that every household relies upon. Like AI is not going to figure that shit out for a long ass time.
Go back to...
And nor will women, because they're far more interested in middle management bullshit. Yep. So yeah, if you're a man, even if you're a young man trying to get into a trade, fucking do one of those trades that the infrastructure on which civilization relies on. Fucking do that.
Yep.
But for the love of God, do that. That's what people need.
There are certain things that really...
yards ahead of everyone else if you do that.
There are certain things that should have been mandatory in education for the last 50 years that slowly have been taken out. Civics, understanding essentially how citizens interact with their government to get what they want out of it, and to maintain a balance with each other on not getting anything bad out of it. Right? Says your participation in the system that determines the laws and the policies that you're going to have to be subjected to be subject to. That's one. Another one is, and this was never part of the curriculum, but in the United States, we should be teaching kids American Sign Language as they learn reading. They should be learning, as they learn the alphabet, as they learn each letter, they should be learning to read the letter, say the letter, and sign the letter. And then as they learn to read words, they should be learning to read the word and sign the word. Every word that has its own sign. And spell the word and sign the spelling of the word. It should not be excluded. And the reason for this is because there are multiple situations where it can be useful. Right? Every kid should know Morse code. And every kid should know American Sign Language. Every kid should have their grammar down. They should be good at reading. One of the major reasons why that should be done that way, and they should be learning them together, is because each one of them, as they're learning these things, will make different parts of the brain work, and some the same parts of the brain work, and it will essentially trigger an increase in their learning capability.
They should learn how to translate one language to another, because everything is about languages, whether it's about,
Yep.
just the way words are formed, or with it's the way words are formed into specialist language, like being a plumber or an electrician. It all comes down to how you translate terms from one speciality to another. And that's
Yep.
really what's important.
If you learn language that way, then later you decide you want to learn Latin because you are going into a profession that will use it, you'll have less of a hard time learning Latin. If you learn things that way, if you learn language that way, and you want to become a translator or travel to other countries without needing a translator, and so you want to learn other languages, you'll have an easier time learning those other languages. Nearly everybody I know that that has a second language, it was easier for them to learn that if they had learned Morse code or American Sign Language. I don't know very many people that I know have learned sign language outside of the country, but I'm sure it's the same in other nations with other types of sign language. But it's
They don't
something that they should be doing.
they don't teach this to the Karens in HR departments.
No,
They only
no.
teach them what to look for in the English language
Yep.
that might present as problematic. Right? They don't
And
know any other language. They only seek certain terms in the English language that can get you cancelled, dare I say, fired, and
yep.
ejected from any possible line of employment should you say the wrong things to the wrong people. And yeah, this is emblematic of the important jobs that should be filled in, and the completely unimportant jobs that are only filled in by women. Like, I mean, I suppose women can also become plumbers and electricians and all these useful jobs, but women generally aren't interested in those jobs. They're only interested in the human resources jobs where they fucking fire people in the important jobs because because they didn't learn the important terminology. Like, they didn't learn how not to offend people
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. The other thing that isn't taught in schools that really should be is conflict management, right? They teach kids not to bully, they teach kids not to fight, but they don't teach them the best ways to avoid getting to the point where it comes to blows. Instead, they teach them, don't do this because you're going to get in trouble, right? not teaching kids sportsmanship, teaching kids mutual respect, teaching kids empathy. And you can teach kids empathy. You have to get them to think, how would I feel in that situation? What is the other person feeling in this situation? And is it fair for me to expect what I'm expecting based on that? And if not, am I the asshole, essentially? Which you wouldn't use the word asshole for kids, but half of the problems that exist in workplaces today exist because people don't know how to do that examination. Am I the asshole? Right? And they don't. You shouldn't have to go to Reddit to ask that question. You should be able to ask yourself that question. Am I being a jerk here? Yeah, sometimes everybody gets mad at you for something that is perfectly reasonable, because the culture in your workplace has something wrong with it. Um, but most of the time, yeah, if you have to ask, the answer is probably yes. Or you are a doormat. That's the other one. If you ask that question a lot and you get told no most of the time, no, you're not the asshole. You might be a doormat. Right? Don't be either one, right? You can be a person that compromises with other people and comes to a resolution that is beneficial to both sides without being the asshole or the doormat. And kids can learn that when they're young, right? Kids can learn to hate violence and to love problem solving and to not be embarrassed about mistakes. Just use them as, well, a learning opportunity. But in order to have those things, they have to be encouraged to get excited about new information and to not feel like less if they need new information in order to be right about something. And unfortunately, those things are not being taught. And discovery learning is not being used. Kids are not being given opportunities to explore information. It's being spoon fed to them. And things are being done in very clinical ways in the classrooms and not in ways that interact well with the child's brain. There are simple things they could be doing, like always making sure that when there is a music class, math class either comes before it or after it, because music stimulates the part of your brain that does math, and math stimulates the part of your brain that does music, because music is math, in a way.
Correct.
So, I mean, it is essentially just the language of sound waves. But in any case, all of this stuff, when it comes to this statement about more in-work training and apprenticeships, less school debt, less time in the public school system, stuff like that. Once again, this is a lot easier to achieve if you don't need childcare, if you don't need to sock your kids into a 6-hour to 8-hour a day system to keep track of them, so that mom can go sit her ass in an office in front of a computer that she hates, in a cubicle that she hates, and feel very feminist doing her job. It also suggests encouraging young people to marry and to do so at a younger age. Many women misunderstand how age affects fertility, it argues, adding that about 2/3 of women believe it is possible to have a baby at any age thanks to medical advances. Do you know why they think that? Anybody? I will give you 3 guesses why they think that.
Because of how the number 7 made them feel.
Try again.
Go on.
Oh, you gotta know. You have to know this one. Guys, why do young women believe things are true? Who teaches them this shit?
Men. Is it?
No,
Is it men? Oh, it's not. Oh, that's
it's
weird.
not men.
Oh,
Like,
man.
it's been misogynistic to say women shouldn't get pregnant in their old age now for what? The last 30 years. Oh, you can't say she's too old to be pregnant. You hate women. No, I don't hate women. I actually really don't want women to die in childbirth. I don't want babies to die during their birth. So I want women to have babies at the peak of their health and fertility. That would make sense, right? But nope. You hate women if you say that, a 60-year-old should not have a baby. You hate women if you say that it's wise to maybe stop after 3 or 4, especially if you're approaching 40. But because we don't need to do that anymore. We're not losing half of our children before the age of 5 anymore. Given the huge challenge the UK faces with its fertility rates. By the way, the answer was feminists. Feminists told women that they could have a baby at any age, right? Given the huge challenge the UK faces with its fertility rates, is that it is vital that motherhood is seen not only as necessary but as good and valuable too. It adds. So just trying this again. Who convinced people that motherhood was not good and valuable? Whose idea was that?
Feminists?
Who made the video of a woman standing around angrily handling kitchen utensils and appliances for the camera to create the impression that she was being held prisoner in there and hated it? Was that some denomination of Christianity? Or maybe it was the military.
If
The
feminism
military
counts as a
made.
denomination of
What was it
Christianity,
called?
maybe.
Something of the kitchen. Anyway, yeah, maybe it was the CIA. Was it
It
the
was the
CIA
Jews.
guys that convinced women that motherhood is a trap and a prison? Semiotics, by the way. It's called Semiotics of the Kitchen. I couldn't remember for a minute there. But not to be confused with, I think the performance art piece was called Interior Semiotics. Yeah, don't watch that. It's gross. But yeah, it's an ism. I bet you can guess which one. Said, "Oh, women are slaves to the kitchen. They're chained to the kitchen sink and the stove, and they're barefoot and pregnant, and men are patriarchy making them all have babies while they're doing the dishes and blah blah blah." Obviously, that patriarchy fuckface has been busy going around like with his little chains to hook y'all to the oven in your kitchen so you can't get away, and he's taking your shoes too. He's an angry elf. Miriam Cates, a senior fellow at CSJ, said, "To reverse the birth rate crisis, we must make family formation a national priority once again."
Well,
anybody see a problem with that?
Yes. Ugh. Go on, Hannah.
Do we know the laws?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that the laws in the UK are similar to the US. If
Much worse.
If a woman decides after she gets married that she's going to violate the marriage contract that the marriage license represents, that the vows that she made represents, and run off with some other guy, does that result in an at-fault divorce where she loses custody of the children and doesn't get alimony or child support? Would that be the laws in the UK? That's what it says. By any chance? Anybody?
I don't know.
Everybody's going to sleep on me.
All
It's
we
only
know is
8:30 here, guys. Sorry. I know my UK friends. It's like what, 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning.
look, all we
Something
know
like that.
in the UK is everything is worse in America.
But yeah, I know the laws here in the US. If a woman does all that, she still gets custody. She still gets child support. If she doesn't marry the other guy, she can still get alimony. She can live with him and he can pay all her bills. And she can still get alimony from the head of the household that she broke up to be with the other guy. She can have 50 new baby daddies and 3 STIs and keep custody of her children. He can't have a wart on his nose and still keep custody of his children.
Oh, what? How dare you?
But yeah, we should prioritize the formation of families. Who cares if they break up afterwards?
You may
Does
give a
anybody
toad
think that
award.
maybe, possibly, the crisis that they're talking about might partially stem from the last 60 or 70 years of divorce rate increases that have occurred because of laws that incentivize women to leave their marriages instead of incentivizing families to stay together. No, I cannot hear Mike. Is Mike talking?
Yes.
None of us can hear Mike.
Oh, shit.
You can hear him? Okay. I can hear you. That it's just they can't hear you. Well, maybe they can hear you. Can you hear Lauren? People? That silence was all Lauren talking. So if Lauren's voice didn't come through the interwebs, then fuck.
How long has Hannah been talking by
So both of
herself?
us, like I've been sitting here trying to get people to answer, but I can't hear.
Wait.
I can't hear Mike at all. If he has been trying to talk. Mr. 303 says they can hear Mike, not Lauren. Welcome to technical difficulties with the Badgers, guys. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Oh, dearie me.
Oh, dear God. We got a super chat. Oh, and it just went off the page. Come on. Don't do that, computer. It's not letting me scroll. There we go. So we got $2 from Senior Sticks, who says, "Is it time for the new vagina monologues in 2026?" Please, God, no. Unless, we're going to have 20 women line up on the stage and queef the alphabet, I don't want to hear it. I would hear that just because it would be funny as hell. Also, it would take a lot of talent. All right, I still am not hearing. Is Mike not trying to talk now?
No, I can. Hello?
Yeah, I'm not
drunk,
hearing. I'm
but
not hearing
I'm trying to
anything.
talk.
Is he talking? Yeah, I still can't hear him. This sucks.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
I want to hear Mike.
I can try talking. Hello? I mean, we've been going for.
Yeah,
Shit,
I'm
what
sitting
is
here
it?
being quiet for a second, but
It's been 2 hours. I think
I can't hear. I
we
still can't hear
can-
Mike.
Okay. Can any of you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Why does everything have to be like that?
I'm now wondering if I've just been shouting into the void for the last 2 hours.
I don't even see. Mike, I don't think I see two people in the
But apparently the audience
Video
can hear
Ninja,
me.
and one is
Like
muted.
the audience can hear
No.
me, but Hannah can't hear me.
Me.
But the
Can they hear
audience,
you?
but the audience can hear me, but they can't hear Lauren. How the fuck does that
And
even
I have
work?
no control over
Good
whether
Lord.
that one is muted or not to me. So I don't understand. Now there's one. I think, did Mike drop out?
No, I
No,
did
he's
not.
still here.
Hello.
What the hell?
Oh, dearie me. Welcome to technical difficulties with the badgers. That's changed.
It is also now not showing me whether or not I am sharing my screen.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, I think that this is intolerable, and we are going to have to wait. Mike, is that
Hello.
you?
Yes, I'm here.
He
Hello.
still can't hear you.
Shit. Okay, this
Hey.
is intolerable, and I think we are going to have to end the show. I don't know
We
what
probably
else to
should.
do.
It's
I
been
can't hear
2
Mike, and
hours. 2 hours is
I don't
long
know how
enough.
long to give him to speak. I can't see any
Uh-oh.
evidence when he's speaking because there's nothing that lights up.
Oh dear. Oh dearie me.
She can't hear you.
I'm gonna start using all my good cuss words. So let's just
Can you still hear Hannah?
I think
Wait,
that
Yes.
was the end of
Lauren,
the
Lauren,
article,
can
and the
Hannah
rest of this is all
still
comments,
hear me?
which
Brian, are you still there? Who the fuck
oh,
can
you
hear
idiots.
who?
I'm not even going there today. I'll see if the comments are worth reading during the next week. I don't either. It doesn't make sense because I could hear Mike.
All of
All right,
us?
well, let me give it a shot, see what happens.
Shit. Ah.
A few things. Uh, okay. Oh, this all could have happened because of the weather brewing here. I may have had yeah. I may have had my internet blip out or something and I just didn't see it. That's the only thing I can think of. So is Mike in here? Or is Mike not here?
I don't think he is.
Okay. Well, that sucks. I'm still not gonna go very long because it's almost 9 o'clock anyway, and I don't want to go past that time. Somebody just popped in. Is that Mike?
Ah!
Yay, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, everything that you've been trying to say it now.
I have to edit this in the form of a fucking podcast at some point, and that's going to be difficult. All right. Hello.
Yes,
everyone.
hello. But like I
All
said,
right, let's keep going. Let's fucking do this.
there
Just
were
keep
things,
going.
there were things that you were trying to say when I was talking over you, right? Because I couldn't hear you.
I can't remember. Let's just fucking do
fuck.
something.
Okay, well, we got to the end of the article. I'm pretty sure there's not. Where was I? Yeah, we got, because it says share or comment on this article. Immature men are to blame for Britain's missing babies. Report warns because they delay responsibilities until later in life. So I just want to point out, they are saying that when you want to have a baby with your wife, you should not first make sure that you are financially ready to have a baby, to support the child, to pay all of your bills yourself and not rely on the government. They don't want you to do that. They want you to just get pregnant.
Fuck your baby. All right, clip that. Clip that if you must, ladies and gentlemen. But
yeah, that's
at the end of the
we're
day,
gonna-
fuck your baby.
Is there a wood chipper emoji in the comment? Like that's gonna be the next thing that's coming up. Jeez, Pete. Mr. 303 says the only language I understand is pain. That's right. I'm gonna kick all your asses now. From here, because I can kick that high, even though I'm down in the valley. So I guess to summarize what my reason for choosing this article and asking to compare it to the previous thing, women can't make up their minds, right? Women get pissed off if men are wanting to start a relationship, build that relationship, get married, raise a family, and give the woman the opportunity to raise her children. Right? And if men create an environment in which the wife doesn't have to go to work, and she can be a homemaker and raise her children, and make sure that her husband is taken care of when he comes home, and that the place he comes home to is a haven from all of the hardships of his day, and enjoy spending time together as a family, right, then they're trapped. Women have decided that is absolute hell on earth, and they can't live like that, and they have to go rot in a cubicle somewhere for minimum wage, or maybe a few dollars over, or they're just not living, right? But then when it comes time to talking about the birth rate, it's men's fault, not the fault of the women that made that decision, not the fault of the women who are having so many abortions that 3 in 10 pregnancies is ending in an elective abortion. Not their fault that there's a low birth rate. Nope, it's because men want to make sure that when they bring a child in the world, they can support that child. How dare you? Bad men. Shame on you for being practical. What's wrong with you guys? That's really a hell of a logic, right? I thought girl math was off, but this is really off. And contrasting it with the demonization of men who want to be with women, but aren't necessarily the men that the women want to be with. That's quite a feat, quite a feat there. And I recently saw a statistic, and I don't know where it came from, so I don't know how accurate it is. But the percentage of single men who are actively looking for a partner is from what I saw, close to double the percentage of women, single women, who are actively looking for a partner. And this isn't because more women are dating, right? Because we're talking about the percentage of the singles. So the percentage of single men who are looking for a partner versus the percentage of single women who are looking for a partner is the comparison, not total. There's a much higher percentage of single women who have just opted out of partner seeking altogether. They're just not going to do it. They don't care. They're not looking for a partner, but maybe they want to have a baby anyway. And in the US, it's over 40% now of babies, newborn babies, are born into an unmarried family, into a single parent household. And I don't know how it is in the UK, but it's rather difficult to blame that on men considering women's options.
Well, in the UK, men kind of go, "Are you on birth control?" And if she says yes, they're like, "Okay, let's go." And they just have to trust the woman that she says she's on birth control, one of the dozens of birth control that is available, and they just have to trust her that that's what's going on. And that is what's happening in the modern age. And we have to compare this to all of human history, in which women didn't have that shit. And we have to keep arguing with feminists who keep saying that, you know, throughout all of human history, women didn't have these shit. What? Yeah, I'm sure they didn't. But let's look at the modern age in which men and women are having sex. Like, can you have children? And they're like, well, in history we can. Okay, good. In history, you didn't have the option of all of these fucking dozens of forms of birth control, but do you have them now? And they're like, oh, maybe, I don't know. And they're like, okay, well, all I have is condoms and vasectomies. What if I told you I'd had a vasectomy? And she would shrivel up like it's like the cloaca of a sand viper, and she'd go, oh, I don't want that anymore. And the best you could do from there is say, do you have any birth control that would prevent you from having a fucking baby? And she would go, well, it depends. Are you a Chad or a fucking incel? If you're an incel, then I don't want your baby. If you're a Chad, then I do want your baby. And so I'm not gonna fucking tell you. I'm just gonna receive your seed. And if you're rich enough, I am going to receive your seed. And if you're not, I'm still gonna receive your seed and see how much resources I can extract from you. And that's how it fucking works these days.
Yep. If you're rich enough, she's into you. If you're not, she's not. And that's a huge part of the problem. If you're good looking enough, she's into you. And then another huge part of the problem is that whole thing of wanting the bad guy, the bad boy, right? Or the only I can see what a great guy he is. Nobody else understands him but me, right? I'm going to date this dipshit, and while we're just dating, not even engaged, we'll have sex. And when I get pregnant, I'll expect him to suddenly become a polished diamond because I think he's a diamond in the rough. Well, no, you cannot turn a dipshit into a diamond. by polishing his knob. It does not work. He will still be a dipshit no matter what you do. And until he decides he doesn't want to be one anymore, which may or may not happen. So, yeah. Mangaka92 says, hot guys with money that beat her are the Terra Chad. That's it. That's it. Hot guys with money that beat her are it. That's the really sad thing. No. Oikophobic misanthrope, do not use hot sauce. Hot sauce does not kill the little guys. Use bleach. Use even isopropyl alcohol. Or for that matter, shot of whiskey. Right? Spray it with Lysol before you throw it in the trash, whatever. But horsey sauce isn't going to cut it. It'll just make her feel bad. But it won't stop you from getting a child support bill. But I think we've really kind of killed the subject anyway. No, do not flush the used condom. Do you know that there are guys out there who have to dive into septic tanks to get those out? That's don't do that. Because that's definitely not good. Don't make it about playing a trick, right? Make it about protecting yourself. Just make it about protecting yourself. You don't have to make it about. There's no amount of punishment that's going to make a stupid woman smart. There's honestly, just like a guy that's a dipshit. There are guys out there that are like that. There's no amount of punishment that's going to make them smart either. Why would you expect, if it doesn't work on a guy who has no choice, right? He doesn't have a get out of accountability free card because he's a dude. Right? There is absolutely no amount of punishment that is going to make a woman who has misogyny as a get out of accountability free card. Oh, you did this because you hate women. There's no amount of punishment that's going to make her smart. She's only going to whine about you. That's all that's going to happen. And she might actually file assault charges and get you punished. So you can't win that fight. It feels like you can win that fight, but you can't win that fight. That's not the fight to win. The fight to win is getting the fuck away from the dipshit woman and living your best life away from her. And no matter how upset she gets that you're not miserable because she's not in your life anymore, you still have your life. That's how you win.
It's easy to assume that most of our audience is intelligent people, but let's just go ahead and assume that most of our audience is exists across the spectrum.
Yeah,
of intelligence. A lot of them will be midwits. A lot of them will be idiots, and a lot of them will be geniuses. I don't know what to say to midwits, because midwits will just, I don't even know why you're even here, because you'll just go and listen to the fucking legacy media like they're telling you the truth. So I don't know what to say to you, and I don't know what to say to the geniuses, because you already know what you're doing, and I don't know what to say to the idiots, other than what we've already told you, because idiots tend to just believe what they're told, much like the midwits. But the idiots are already know what they're doing. Like if you encounter a fucking nightmare chick, then you don't need that nightmare chick in your life. like get rid of them and wait.
Yep.
Like you can find a fucking idiot chick. Like, and there aren't many memes out there when that pertain to the phenomenon of the idiot chick. We all know about the Karens. We all know about the midwit Karens and all such. But you know, there's a whole bunch of women out there who are just fucking idiots. And to be honest, and, I don't know how I get this across, but the idiot women might make your best partners because if you're an idiot as well, then fucking get together and make some idiot children because we need them. It can't be much worse than children who are brought together by feminist midwits and other feminist midwits, because you know, as the memes have expressed over the years, like there's nothing worse than midwits. Like, if there is to be any future, it will be brought about by the geniuses and the idiots. So, and I don't know how to get this across to people, because people don't tend to admit to being idiots. But I will go ahead and admit that I'm an idiot. Like, and I'm not going to breed because I'm something of a degenerate midwit. And I would go ahead and try to speak for the idiots, insofar as, you know,
Okay. I just lost Mike. Can other people still hear Mike? Ah, there you are.
American equivalent of that is. But if any of you are listening, and I suppose there's a few of you who who might have made it through the pervasive whatever it is that that is the media that gets through to the fucking idiots. But if you're an idiot, and you probably are, I mean, you probably are, just get together with another idiot and have sex with them and just create another bunch of fucking idiots. Because honestly, idiots are great. Like, we've got this far with idiots for the longest time. Just fucking make some idiots. Honestly,
Blessed are the midwits, for they shall inherit the birth.
No, the idiots will destroy the world.
There.
This is what that fucking whole meme is about. The IQ curve. The midwits will destroy the world.
That's true.
The idiots and the geniuses are the people who will inherit the earth. Like, be they meek or not meek. It's, you know. You can't escape the existence of the idiots, and you can't escape the existence of the geniuses. But we've got in this shite state of affairs where we are today because of the midwits, and that.
Oh, there you go again.
Why we've found ourselves in
All right, I can't hear Mike again.
Hello? Hello?
I'm not sure if it's because you stopped talking, Mike, or if
Hello?
it's...
Hello? 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 Hello?
Yeah, I think it's his internet.
Hello?
Well, then I'm gonna go ahead and say something else, and then I'm gonna go ahead and close out the show because it's after 9. I think one of the biggest problems that is contributing to the relationship issues, the low birth weight, everything really, is the vast difference. Make sure I pronounce that correctly. Between wait, now I'm hearing or seeing Vernon says they can hear Mike, but I can't.
Hello?
Okay,
Hello?
I hear you now. I hear you now. What is
Hello?
going on with this thing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Just fucking finish the show.
Yeah. All right. The vast difference between the way
That's
men think of
difference.
women and the way women think of men, right? It's pretty obvious from the way that men behave toward women as a population toward another population. That men built an entire modern civilization with a great number of amenities that are specifically geared toward protecting us. And you wouldn't do that if you didn't think of us as people, human beings with experiences and wants and needs and rights, even under coverture, even under guardianship. Everything that protects women was built by men, mostly for that express purpose, to protect women, right? Many, many other things were built because they're great for many other reasons. It's nice to be able to get places faster. It's wonderful to be able to um, put a bunch of people living in a small space by creating vertical height. But the aspects of our civilization that protect women often don't have any other purpose, or they don't, maybe they have some side benefits, but not that much. Like it is the main purpose. We've had laws to protect our virtue. We've had laws to protect our emotional stability uh, by protecting our virtue for centuries, where men have had no such laws. Like everybody's protected from assault, but only women have been protected from rape. Right? Only women have been protected from sexual assault. Everybody is vulnerable to abuse, but only women have been protected from partner abuse throughout history. In fact, men have been punished for being victims throughout history. Right? And similarly, whole systems have been built around ensuring that women can safely bear children. So men very clearly care a great deal about women, population to population. And on an individual level, you see men helping women in a variety of ways every single day that women just take for granted, don't even understand that it's happening. And once you start noticing it, looking around and realizing that guy was looking out for me, you know, he didn't even know me and he was looking out to make sure I was okay. Where he's a complete stranger. it becomes impossible to not notice it. It's one of those when you see it, you don't have to shit bricks, but you never unsee it. And you might miss examples of it sometimes, but it's an awareness that never goes away. Women used to be able to do that for men in a lot of ways too, right? And if there was a disaster and men went out to deal with the disaster, fix what was broken, rescue who was endangered, move what needed moved, whatever. Women started getting to work to make sure that if they got injured, that there were bandages and things to use to help them heal, and that there were women ready to do that work. They would prepare food. They would prepare warm, dry clothes, anything that they needed to make sure that the men that were handling the disaster were cared for. Men protected women and women cared for men and tried to make the environment in which men protected them a safe haven, right? A place of R&R, rest and relaxation, not a place of getting screeched at and blamed for everything. But that's not the way it is today. Today, women treat men like objects, walking wallets, right? Um, a stick to beat other women with. Oh, you should be afraid. You should be very afraid. Men are going to get you. They treat men like whipping boys. Maybe not an object, but still something to use. They treat men like scapegoats, but they never treat them like human beings. Not really. They're not grateful if they get rescued. They sue if it involves CPR because their breasts are on either side of their breastbone and they might have been touched. They don't act like when somebody does something for them, it should be appreciated, or at least the person's intentions should be recognized, and it shouldn't be treated as an act of malice. Instead, they presume malice before you ever do anything. So, how are people supposed to make relationships in that environment? How are you supposed to pick up a rabid alley cat and cuddle with it? Like, how can you make a relationship with somebody who culturally has been trained to hate you? Who views you as a thing to use, a supplier to take from, and a scapegoat for all of her problems. Until that's fixed, until the way women think goes back to, gosh, men and women are human and we got to work together. This problem cannot be solved. The birth rate can't be raised in an environment in which women hate men in mass and also individually. If they're looking down on half the human race, and they're especially looking down on half of that half of the human race, the half that is maybe less attractive or the half that is less well heeled, then we're fucked. Until you get that change taking place, that birth rate's not going up. So we're ending on a black pill tonight. I don't think I have something positive to say here. I usually try to find something. Like, fathers could be the hero of this, right? But we're in a legal environment that attacks fatherhood. I'm glad that in some locations that's changing. And we do need to continue to work to make that more widespread, that the incentives for divorce are taken away. Right. So there's your gray pill. It's not quite all a black pill, but it's a lot of work. This is going to be a massive job to do. And I hate to see it all put on men, but women aren't helping. So it is. So right back to black pill. Sorry, guys. But with that, I guess the silver lining in it is that every time a state or a province or some segment of a nation passes 50-50 shared parenting and other divorce reforms that disincentivize divorce from the woman's perspective, you get more dads raising their daughters to be better women. That's as white pilled as we're going to get tonight. And I know that that's happening. It's just not happening very fast. So thanks everybody for listening. Let me see if we've got my super chat window is covered. We got one. Okay. Why doesn't it? It must be from Meredith G because it. Oh no, there it is. The one good man. The one good man sent us $5 and said, Nick Frieras always has really interesting takes on this stuff. And that was at about 8:32. So we were kind of talking about the relationship between men and women at that point too. So thanks everybody, and thanks to my co-host for putting up with my non-abilities to hear them. I think we had even more technical difficulties with Richard, so we'll try again next week. I know I'm going to have more material.
I'm not here. I'm dead.
I would claim to be dead, but we all know that I don't die. I just I skirt death. It's my favorite skirt. I'm never growing out of that one. And with that horrible joke,
I'm just dead.
Good night, all.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.